I've been wanting to get you on.
It's the sick show.
It's the sick show.
It's the sick
Civil War
show.
days, what you got going on with that, and how you end up being. You're the guy.
I am. Yeah.
You're the guy. So you got to pull that a little bit closer. There
Is
we
that
go.
better?
Should be. Yeah, you might even come a little closer. I usually say about a softball. Yeah. There it is. So we've known each other for quite a while, and the last time we really sat down and talked, I think we were talking about you going into education.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
You came into my classroom, and we're talking to my kids about the Civil War days, but you were a reenactor and explaining what a reenactment was to them. Well, since then, I've met another guy named Sean who is down at Madison, Indiana, who's also a reenactor. And I've been trying to connect the two of you since I met him. And I don't think I've had any luck yet.
Probably not.
You would think it'd be a really simple connection for two people that are reenactors, but it's not as easy as you think. How many reenactors do you think are out there?
Tens of thousands.
Yeah, I mean,
here in Indiana, there's a couple thousand at least.
wow. So tell us a little bit about what you do and why it's important.
So Hartford City Civil War Days, it just commemorates what happened in the years 1860 to 1865 about the Civil War, why it happened, how it happened, life during the war, and how our men in the armies, both sides, lived and fought and what they struggled over. I mean, that's the whole point of us having this reenactment, is just to commemorate the war and what happened, the home life, the civilians, what they went through. I mean, we got everything. We don't just have the military. We have the whole civilian life, the whole military, the politics, the everything. You can see in the war, it's there.
Yeah.
So we bring everyone together around the nation and have a great event every year. We didn't have it last year, unfortunately, just because we didn't have any volunteers.
Yeah.
So for the last 7 months, we've gone underneath a huge recruitment campaign, and we've got probably a dozen people now this year to help us.
That's good. How many? And I'm sure that's not enough.
No, not even close.
It's never going to be enough.
It's never enough.
Now, when did the Hartford City Civil War Days start? Can we get a little history on that?
So it started 35 years ago, 1998, 1989, somewhere in there. Okay. Roughly, I can't do my math, but It started 89, 99, 1990, somewhere in there. Orville Ugan, his brother, and a bunch of guys. They started the organization back then, and it's grown into now. We've only had, this is our 33rd annual. During COVID, we didn't have the event due to COVID, obviously, and we didn't have the event last year. It's just lack of volunteer support. So this year we should have a good year with the 33rd annual. We got a lot of good feedback, a lot of people that are really interested and gung-ho for the event. We went from 1990 from a real small organization to Indiana's largest Civil War reenactment event, Indiana's largest night firing artillery event, and we got some competition this year with Billy Creek opening back up. They were down for a few years. Napanee's a new event. But I feel as if we're still the largest, even though we didn't have it last year.
Sure.
So we're in that rebuilding stage. I'd like to get it to the biggest in the Midwest again, like it used to be 15 years ago.
Yeah. So a few years ago, had a special opportunity with the Ellen Show sent a girl to the reenactment.
Yeah.
At that time I was still teaching, and we had created a map of Gettysburg in my classroom. And so it was an 8 by 12 foot by 12 foot
diorama.
Yeah, it was literally a diorama, and got the idea from going to Gettysburg with kids and seeing the diorama at Gettysburg and online. And I wanted to do something different, so we created that, and I had some students go out and present the diorama at the reenactment. You guys helped us out with that a ton, and unfortunately, we didn't get any airtime. I was hoping we'd get some airtime. The kids volunteered, but that was a neat opportunity for the kids to really get hands-on into what that looked like. And then for the ones that went to DC with us, we also go to Gettysburg, and they got to see what they just built. I thought was really special. But then for the ones that didn't go, they went out to the Civil War Days and got to experience what that looked like in real time. So it was a really neat opportunity for all those things to come together. doing it in the fall this year.
Yeah, we're back to October again. We had a short stint where we were in May just because there's a big national event in Kentucky that kept falling on our same event, so it would draw reenactors away from us. Because a lot of these reenactors, they want to go to these big national events
Yeah.
because you have the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of reenactors together, and it's portraying an actual, like the Battle of Perryville, Kentucky, was the one that kept drawing us away, and now they moved their event to a different weekend in October. So now we're able to go back to the original date in October, which is when we originally started. And Indiana's a festival kind of state.
Yeah.
You want to have festivals in the fall, and that's a big draw. So that's why we moved back to October instead of in
Good.
May. It's better for us over there all. For the amount of reenactors and the amount of volunteers we had, they want to have an October versus a May event. Because May's so volatile on the,
Yeah, I
on
was
the
gonna
weather.
say, the weather is
I mean,
kind of
October's volatile too, but it's not as bad as May.
not as unpredictable.
Yeah,
You know, like
exactly.
this year we had a heavy April, and God, I thought it was going to continue into May.
Mm-hmm.
And if that had happened, I can't imagine how wet that ground would have been out
If
there.
we would have stayed in May, we would have had a very wet and very hot year,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't have been very good for us.
It would have felt like a real Civil War
Yeah, it would have been.
scenario.
It would have been a sloppy mess out there.
A
And
lot of mud.
yeah, so looking at the weather forecast and the Farmer's Almanac, they're forecasting a really nice weekend this year. It's going to be a little dry and hot, but that's perfect for a fall festival.
How many reenactors do you typically pull on an average? Let's say the highest year you've had would be
Highest year we had would probably close to 1,000 reenactors.
wow. And that's including not just the people that would be out there.
That's everybody. Civilians, medical display, the presenters, or Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson Davis. That's everybody combined is about 1,000 people. That's a pretty good number.
There's a lot of full families that are out there with kids with that are
Yep.
camping for the week, and their kids are involved in it and a part of that, and people playing different roles. I know you've had Abraham Lincoln. You've had. Did I see a General Lee or Grant?
Yep, they're both out there at the end this year. So we're portraying the Battle of Atlanta, Georgia. The
Okay.
Siege of Atlanta, Georgia. So we have multiple different battles over the course of the weekend. So we've got General Lee, Grant. We have General Longstreet, General Ord, who was very significant in the battles of Kennesaw Mountain and all that. We have General Sherman. We have General Winfield Hancock. He wasn't at the Battle of Atlanta, but we were in the year 1864, so he'll be out there talking about the Overland Campaign with General Grant and all that. And his main area that he's going to focus on is the Battle of the Muleshoe. So he will be out there. We have Abraham Lincoln, of course, all the entire weekend. We have Jefferson Davis out there, and we'll have a medical display, bombers. We have a bunch of just different everything out there. We have a cricket guy. He's going to show kids how to play cricket.
Oh, that's
The
awesome.
public can join and play cricket, which is really cool. We'll have an oxen team out there with a wagon.
Yep.
You can take a ride on the wagon
Is it the
free.
guy that's barefoot?
No, he's not there. We have a different guy. He's from this guy's actually from Southern Indiana. The guy that you're talking about, he was from, I want to say Missouri, but he's not in it anymore because he
Okay.
bad health. He sold his
Must be
ox team.
feet.
It might be. He's out. I remember years and years ago, we had a real bad cold October. He's out there walking. All he had was a bear rug that he slept with, and he's out there walking around his cold feet, and it did not bother him. I couldn't do that. He's got more guts than I do, but
There's no way.
and we have a lot of reenactors that do that, and that they're just so dedicated to what they do.
Yeah.
Just because a lot of the guys in the war, especially in the Confederate States, they didn't have the equipment, the material, so a lot of those guys went barefooted,
Yeah.
and the entire time. And so we have a lot of guys on that side of the reenactment side that do 100% authentic, and that brings a huge crowd of people
Yeah.
because they want to see the authenticity, and we pride ourselves on trying to be the most authentic we can at this event. So
Wow. It's just incredible. Steve Hurd and I have had multiple conversations about having a conversation. Could we have survived, the 17 or 1800s? And anytime I go out there, I'm very appreciative of, in the 80s, we didn't have air conditioning in our house, and I just went downstairs and I'm like, hey, I gotta turn the AC down so it doesn't get too hot in this room. This room will get hot with a couple of people sitting in it. But to think about, he's out there with a bear rug and very little clothing, and that's what he's sleeping. That's his sleeping scenario. I really enjoy taking a bath and brushing my teeth on a daily basis. Those comforts,
are very convenient to us now.
boy, they're more than convenient, brother. It's
You got to have them or you can't survive now.
man. And I go out and I look around. I'm like, these folks are are doing it for the week. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I can do it for a week. And then, that conversation Steve and I were talking about, could we have done it for our lives, for our life? And then to think about what these folks went through in the war for, an extended period of time. Some are in for the full 4 years. Some are just in for a short period of time and either desert or get injured or, killed, obviously, or just, um, I, I think what you guys do gives us a very, very good look at what life was like for those folks in that time, specifically during the Civil War. And the idea that I could have survived that. Let me back that up. The idea that someone survived that allowed you to be sitting here, allowed us to be sitting here, and allowed this country to be what it is, just blows my mind. The suffering that they went through to allow us to live the life we live.
It's truly amazing.
It's mind-boggling. Like, the dude walking around with bare feet just rings so true in my head. And the fact that you got to watch him stay out there with nothing during a cold weather spout. And I think it might have been wet that year too, if I remember correctly. As I remember him out there, and it was wet and it was cold.
It had rained the entire week, and it rained so it rained all the way up until that Thursday night, because that next Friday was our student day, and it was dry the rest of the weekend, but it was a nasty, wet, cold weekend just because it had rained the entire week up to that point.
Oh, man.
And he was a trooper, though.
Well, all of them are, and especially that guy, but all of them are. And then to give up their time, to give up, to give themselves to our community, I think is really incredible. It's a real gift to Hartford City and Blackford County and the area, because it's not just here. But I really enjoy what y'all do. I've been tempted a couple times, I think, by you and by another to get involved, and I hesitate because I like air conditioning and bathing, and
I'm right there with you.
and I'm not a fan of hardtack, so
it's not bad when you soak it.
Oh, brother,
let it get a little soft, and you can eat it.
Just stop. It's a lie you've told yourself to get through the Civil War Day week. So we are October this year. What are the dates again?
4th through the 6th.
4th through the 6th. So when do folks start coming in for that? Or hold on. Yeah, I'll ask that, then I'll follow up with another.
So reenactors typically start coming in Wednesday night.
Okay.
Some of them do. The ones who are there for student day start coming in Wednesday, Thursday, and then the majority of them come in Friday afternoon after the students leave, because a lot of guys still have to work, unfortunately. But majority of them come in Friday night, but we have a lot that come in Wednesday, Thursday. They're starting setting up. There are big display tents, our food tents, and all that are set up. They'll be set up Tuesday this year. We're out there now working on the event, get stuff ready. I mean, it's an all year thing. We don't just wait till last minute to set it up. We have all of our fencing set up 30 days before the event, and just a lot of stuff to do between now and then. But yeah, majority of the reenactors, they come in Wednesday, Thursday, and then we have a lot of them coming Friday night. They get set up.
How does someone get involved?
A lot of these reenactors, they have groups and clubs they're part of, and they do a lot of recruitments at these events. A lot of the time, the way to get involved is just get on Facebook and on our page on Facebook. You follow those different clubs. We used to have a reenactment club here in this area. It disbanded probably 15 years ago, but
okay. I
mean, I'd be more than happy to have other guys if they're interested in doing reenactments. I mean, I still have a bunch of my stuff that I've used over the years. I mean, if they're interested in doing the reenacting, not so much the volunteering out there to see at the event set up, but they want to go do these other events and reenact other events, I mean, they can contact me, and we can get our organization rebuilt again.
Yeah. How many events have you been a part of?
The last probably 10 years, like just Hartford City.
Okay.
just with work and me taking over more responsible roles with the organization here in Hartford to ensure that the club stays apart. when I was younger, I went to a lot of different reenactments.
Yeah.
I've been out to the national events down in Prairieville, Kentucky, Shiloh. I've been out to Gettysburg a couple times. So I did a lot of reenacting when I was younger. I just haven't had time yet now with kids and
Yep.
and work. And now being the president of the Hartford City Civil War Days, it takes a lot of my time away from it. So
Do you guys all collaborate? Do you work together? Different organizations? Do you share
different
ideas?
reenactments.
Yeah.
So we have probably 20 years ago we did.
Yeah.
And then we got away from, I don't know if it was just we felt as if they were our competition and trying to help out organizations. So this year I've reached out to a couple, hey, what are your ideas? Here are my ideas. We share some information back and forth. Billy Creek was the one I reached out to, and we helped each other out on a couple things. So I feel as if the reenacting and the historical side of this is going away with just the older guys are retiring now, and it's harder to get the new generations into organizations, into any kind of volunteering outfit. So we gotta kind of work together to build our events, keep our events going. So I'm reaching out to more of these reenactment events now that I took over this organization to try to keep us together, to try to keep us going for the future.
What got you interested?
Oh, well, my my uncle was a part of it, and I joined 20 years ago. He asked me if I wanted to do it, and I've always loved history. I was going to school to be a history teacher, and of course I went into a different career field, obviously, but 20 years ago he asked me to do it, and I said I'm going to try it, and I did it 1 year, and I fell in love with it. I had actually started out here 20 years ago at the Hartford City Civil War Days with
Yeah.
him, and because he was part of the club, and he did reenacting, and ever since then I got into it then, and I did it for a couple years, and I really started getting into it, and I spent a bunch of money buying all my stuff, and I just loved it ever since. And in the last few years, I haven't really done any reenacting, but I've been helping with the Harvard City Civil War Days, and I just don't want to see it go away.
Sure.
It really upset me last year that we didn't have it, but it was just going to be myself and a couple guys really doing it, and it's a full-time job for a dozen people to do.
Yeah.
Put it on. So
Yeah.
but this year we're in a good spot, I think, financially, support wise. We're doing a really good job, so I think we'll have a really good year.
Good. Schools come out,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that obviously Blackford County schools came out on a yearly basis, and other schools came in. What do you guys promote out to schools? Do you reach out to them and say, hey?
Yeah. So again, the last couple of years we've done it through via email. We get some support, some here and there. So what I did this year, I went back to the basics. What we used to do, we used to send out a letter in January, December to the schools, follow up in May with an email, and then August when schools come back in, I'm going to send out another round of letters to all the schools. So we've hit every school that we can find in northern Indiana, around Indianapolis, over to Dayton, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, all the way up to almost Detroit. So we've hit every school system within probably a 150-mile radius, 200-mile radius.
Yeah.
Sending letters out, following up on emails, and then we're going to do it again in August. And our first round, we've got quite a few schools that have already registered for this year. So my goal is, in the last couple of years, we've had probably 1,000 students come out.
Yeah.
Our best year ever, we had about 4,000 students come out in one day, but that was 15 years ago probably. My goal is to have a minimum of 2,000 kids this year. And the next year, I want to push it to 2,500 to 3,000 and keep growing that.
Good.
So that's the goal. We're spending a bunch of money on advertising this year. We're just blasting these schools with letters and emails, trying to get them to come out. A lot of schools anymore aren't doing field trips so much, but a lot of them are for living history stuff like this.
Absolutely. And my whole point of that question was to point out how important it is. We can sit in a classroom, and I taught history for 5 years, and was in a junior high for 9, and we can put anything we want in a book. We can put anything we want on screen. We can bring people in, but going out and actually seeing it for yourself, seeing the conditions that one is living in, and experiencing that in your comfort of your modern day shoes and clothing, walking around for the day, and having 5 or 10 kids that are going, it's hot, I'm tired, my feet hurt. And there are a few kids that are hearing that and then utilizing their mental capabilities, just doing mental math and going, my feet hurt, I'm tired, and I'm hot too. But these folks, they're really tired, they're really hot, and their feet are really hurting, and they're only here for a few days.
Yeah.
And they start calculating and figuring out, oh my God, 4 years of war and the punishment, the physical punishment without bullets or,
Without battle, it was always
yeah.
it was worse without the battle. I mean, then you got into the battle, it was even worse
Oh
than
my
that.
God. And then the death around you and everything else. Who was the gentleman that came with you to the school that day? Older fella. I think he plays a reverend or a doctor or something.
Oh, it was Bill Smith.
Bill Smith.
Yes.
Bill Smith shared with us, he spent quite a bit of time out at Gettysburg, and it's one of my favorite stories I've heard about Gettysburg. But he was talking about a church or a schoolhouse that they had utilized as a hospital. And as well as I do, and probably better, that the hospital is such a, I'm air quoting term, for this scene, cutting of limbs and etc. And the amount of limbs that end up outside of this church,
Just piled up during big battles.
yeah, piled up to the windows because they're tossing them out windows. Limbs, human limbs that are out there. The amount of blood in the floor they had to drill holes to drain the blood. Now, you may have shared that. I can't remember which
Yeah.
one of you shared this. And then I started thinking about the amount of horses and cattle that would have been killed in that area during just that battle on those few days.
Thousands of them.
The disposal of that, and I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but I had a student that was inspired by that story. And when we were building the diorama, what she wanted to know was more about the disposal of the dead. And she spent the next 3 weeks looking at the disposal of the dead during that time period. It was that student that taught me that's where the idea of a hearse came along, of a just various things that come along with that. But she had learned that it was months later. She had found out, and I had read this as well, but she had learned that months later when Abraham Lincoln comes into town to give the Gettysburg Address, and what we go to September, was that in September?
November 19th.
November. So November 19th, from July to November 19th, when he rolls into town, the stench of dead animals and the amount of dead animals that still lingered in the area and the amount of dead bodies that had, not been recovered still lingered in the air. I'm not good with calendars either, but we're talking months later, and we're still dealing with the amount of death that happened in a 3-day period.
Yeah.
How incredible. Like, there's no way that the average person can put that together in their mind and understand the amount of carnage that was happening during the Civil War, the amount of dead, the amount of people we lost, the amount of American lives we lost during that war, the bloodiness of it, the brutality of it. And unfortunately, but thankfully, your reenactment can't share that with us either.
Right.
I don't want to see it, but God, it needs to be known.
Yeah, it was, and like Gettysburg was the bloodiest battle of the entire war, but everyone forgets about America's bloodiest day, the Battle of Antietam.
Antietam.
1862, nearly 25,000 men fell in a matter of 14 hours.
I think what you do is so important, and I'm getting chills sitting here thinking about it. Because of them, because of them, we are.
Mm-hmm.
And without without that memory of that on both sides, I think what you do is very important, and I hope people become more involved. The knowledge and the knowledge of our country's history is so important. And you have different reenactments that are about here in the area, with the War of 1812 over in Grant County, with the Hartford City Civil War days. That there's no excuse for you not to go out and check this out.
Exactly.
You know, and with that being said, you know, there is a cost of entry, but I also know that for the students, for kids, everything else, you guys provide an opportunity. There's a package for that. When I was putting together the field trip, there's a package deal for the kids to get in.
Yeah, we give them a discount on that Friday on student day. They get a discount to come in. It's $5 a person, and that's for everybody across the board on that Friday.
Okay.
So it's not just for students, but we do.
That's adults as well.
Adults as well, yeah.
Okay.
So we do package deals on that Friday for students and schools to come in and to come out and learn about American Civil War. So,
and this is a not-for-profit, so it's not like you guys, you know, rolling in cash. And,
100% non-for-profit. So
going to the casino after this thing is over. That's not how it works.
All the funding, every ticket sale we have goes to fund our next year's event.
Yeah.
And we also set back money to help take care of the monument on the courthouse square.
Gotcha.
Because that monument, you know, the club paid and made that monument, you know, 20 years ago. That was a big portion of why Orville and his brothers made this event, was to help pay for that monument. You can read the entire history of that Civil War monument on our website at hartfordcitycwdays.com. It has on a page about our event, about our club. Tells you in detail of the different phases that we used to club the funding from this organization from all the Civil War days up to that point to help pay for the statue, the pedestal, and everything.
Yeah.
And that has all the names of Civil War soldiers that had lived in Blackford County during the war.
Interesting. I wasn't aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't aware that was Civil War days funded and maintained.
Yep.
Interesting. So speaking of which, everybody's always wanting to know, well, where's all that money go, Sean? You got all this money, even bringing it in. My God, where's it all go? And that's what people are asking right now as they're listening in their car. And I don't know if everybody talks like that, but that's how I imagine that person asking that question. Well, you bring it $5 a kid, you 4,000 kids in that 1 year. My God, that's $20,000, Sean. You guys going to the casino? What are you doing? Buying Pizza King?
Yeah, well, a lot, again, just funds our next year's event, and we go year by year. So on average, our events cost between $35,000 and $40,000 a year. So that's pretty expensive for a 3-day event in Blackford County, but it's costly. I mean, we got to pay so each one of our cannons to come, we pay them a fee to get them, to attract them to come, especially for our night firing. We pay for the black powder for our night firing event. We pay obviously for insurance liability. All of our big presenters, Abraham Lincoln, the generals, we pay all them.
Yeah, because I mean they're actors. That's a craft.
Exactly.
That's their job, and some of them it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
There was a Lincoln I met somewhere. That's his full-time job. So it's not like, I mean, these people are presenting, but they're not volunteering. Not everybody's out there as a volunteer.
Yeah, they're the generals and the Lincoln and all of them. They are 100% actors.
Yeah.
And you know, and they do a good job of what they do. So
they invest in them.
They're a little pricey, but they're the best out there.
Yeah.
And you know, and a lot of our money we spend on advertising. So we spend a lot of money on advertising to get our name out there, to get people to come to our event.
Okay. So with that being said, as you are, you know, closing in on that October date, what are the things that are in front of you right now? What are the must-haves as you approach that? Because obviously the talent that you bring in, you're contacting them, you know, at last year's event. You didn't have a last year's, but
I've been contacting them since December.
Yeah.
It's been a full-time job for me since December. I'm still contacting new guys. You know, hey, can you come to the event? No, okay. Well, do you know anybody else? And they get me linked up to somebody else, and I get a lot of no's, but also get a lot of yeses too.
Sure.
Just continually contacting different groups and organizations. But up until the event, we're probably 130 days from the event. We have a countdown calendar on our website, but it's probably 130, 135 days until the event right now. So right now we just need some muscle because we're going out to the grounds probably once a month, twice a month now. As we get closer, we'll be out there a lot more, obviously. But just going out there and cutting up wood for firewood, cleaning the place up, mowing the around the fences, make sure the fences look good. It's just a lot of tedious stuff at the moment, maintenance stuff. Yeah, but as we get closer, probably like 30 to 45 days away, we're out there actually putting the fence up. We're out putting signs up around the community out in East Central Indiana about the event, and just doing a lot of advertising at that point too.
What a great spot to have that.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great spot. When I think about around Blackford County, where a better location for that would be, I just don't know if I could pick one out. You're close enough to town to access something you may need.
Exactly.
To have the amenities of the city to be able to back you up if there's an accident. You've got ambulance care. Well, we don't have an ER anymore. That's a whole nother podcast. But you've got care near. You've got city amenities available. There's a well house out there. I'm sure
they're on city water out there.
Are they really?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, so with that, and then the acreage that's available, the topography of the site.
That's what all the reenactors love.
Dude,
is just how the ground is. They love the hills. They love the landscape.
Yeah, and it's like there's the reenactment area, and then you've got the camp area, and then there's another area back in another spot that where you've got the baseball. You've had baseball in the past, and some different things. It's just so cool. And then you got a little village area back there.
Yeah.
It's just set up so well.
Yeah, and we're really blessed and fortunate that 3M allows us to use that facility every single year too.
Yeah, what a great partner that is.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about cost cutting, because I don't think without that there's no way this happens.
No, because we'd have to rent the ground, and just renting the ground for a year would take up all of our budget. We wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah. So with that all being said, you're reaching out to folks. You've got the actors that are coming in to portray the different famous people. What about your reenactors, the people that are coming here? Most of those are volunteers that are coming. They love the experience. I had a teacher, Lisa Belcher, at Oak Hill. She's a reenactor. Her and her husband reenact. They go out to Missinawall and do that. I think they may have done Civil War days before. I can't remember if she said she had or not. But so how do you start attracting those folks to come out and be a part of this?
So when I was younger, like I said, I went out did a lot of reenactments, so I got a real good personal relationship with a lot of them. And so I just linked up with them on Facebook or via text messages to say, hey guys, we got the event coming. And then they just spread the word. The few guys that are in charge of these organizations, like we have the Union Army, they have an organization called Army of the Wabash, which is an organization here in Indiana. They got infantry, artillery, and cavalry, and they're a big organization. They do national events and events here in Indiana and the Midwest, and the events they go to the Midwest because they got some up in Michigan they go to, in Ohio a lot, and they just say, hey guys, we got this big event down here. We come up here to support you guys, so come down here and support us.
Yeah,
make our event bigger, because they don't want these events to go away, because if Hartford City goes away or Belly Creek goes away or Napanee, they can't reenact unless they have these big national events. And they want to do this. They want to go out. They want to teach the history. So I use them a lot to do the recruiting for me, because they go to these national events everywhere and they try to attract more people to their areas to help the event grow bigger. Because people want to come out and see the large amounts of reenactors. They want to come out and eat food, which we're going to have a lot of new food vendors this year. Period food vendors.
That's what I was getting ready to ask, if there was any period food vendors.
Yeah, so unfortunately, 1812 did cancel the event this year. They're having issues with the facility and over there and whatnot. So I reached out to them, and they sent a lot of their food vendors to me contacts. So in the years past, we've had a lot of modern food vendors up by our white metal building, which is where our headquarters is, and
which our kids always loved. I mean, the students were gaga about that part of it.
But we have a lot of period vendors that are coming this year, selling period food and whatnot. So that's going to be a huge hit for us.
A lot of hardtack.
I don't know about that, but
It'd be like a lemon shake-up out there.
lemon shake up hardtack. There you go.
The hardtack. Get your hardtack. Get your,
But people in Indiana, they love food. They love street food. They love fair food. So that is a huge attraction to them. Which, probably in the next 60 days, you'll start seeing that a lot on our Facebook page. I'll start posting, hey, this is who's coming. This is what they're offering, just to get the people to come out. They're starting thinking, hey, we're going to have this awesome food out here. We can go around. There's a lot of stuff on our schedule. I've been working on a schedule for the event for 2 months now.
Yeah.
And it's not done yet. And it's a full schedule already. And it's not close to being done. I'll have it done probably in the next 30 days.
That's awesome.
So everything that I'm doing, we usually wait until last minute. And then we run around at the last minute throughout the entire event. We can't enjoy the event because we're working so hard. So I'm trying to do everything now. That way, come the event, I can just sit back and enjoy the event with everybody, not having to just work.
That's the hardest part. That's the hardest part. And, on a very small scale, I put on our class reunions for the past, 5 of the 6 that we've had. We have a reunion for our class every 5 years. And the hardest part for me has been to enjoy the reunion.
Yeah.
Because by the time the night ends up finishing up, not many people are left with the ability to clean up. They may have some they may have self-medicated a little too much, and so there it is. Somebody's got to run the people out. Somebody's got to clean up.
That way you can clean up. Yeah.
Somebody's got to make sure. Hey, we got a porta potty problem for you all. There's all these other things going on. You need a site manager for that, I would assume,
and that's going to be me this year.
And that gets to be Sean. So, do you go out? Do you go out? Plan to go out in your period dress, or like?
It just depends on how everything rolls around. I mean, if everything works perfectly, yeah, I will. But if not, then I'm gonna be in my normal outfit and running around, barking orders, and making sure it's a great event for this year.
Yeah. Any surprises coming this year?
Not any major surprises. I mean, one thing we got coming this year is, like we were talking about the Ox team earlier.
Yeah.
We are offering free rides the entire weekend in the back of his wagon. That's a huge thing. So we did pay a little bit more this year to ensure that we can do free rides. That's going to be a huge attraction. We're going to have an area for families, for like a period games area. We're currently working on building a bunch of different games and getting designs and stuff of actual period games that children would play during the years 1860 1865. So we're going to have a period games area. That way the families can get together and they can play the games and whatnot. So that's a good thing to attract families. And then the oxen ride. And then again, just going to have, Indiana's largest night firing artillery event.
Yep.
We're probably going to have 20, 25 cannons out there. I'd like to have a lot more, but that's about all we're going to get this year, just because we didn't have it last year. So it's hard to get those cannons to come out. And in one of our biggest years, we've had probably 35 cannons out there.
Yeah.
I'd like to get to the 35, 40 cannons again. I mean, that's just a huge night firing. And of course, people in Hartford City know it's happening Saturday
100%.
night. Because, out here, your house is going to shake when those cannons go off.
when I lived on West Chestnut Street, when the girls were little, the night firing, man, it was so awesome. You just sit there and the house would just rumble. The windows would rattle. And that, just feeling that power from about a mile away was really interesting to give you some perspective of how loud that type of event would be. And you guys may have 500, 600 reenactors per side, or in some of the bigger reenactments you've had, and the how loud the gunfire is itself. And to think about that, for an Antietam, 14 hours of that happening.
Yeah. And so those cannons out there, they don't shoot off full charges. They're shooting quarter charges. So it's loud with a quarter charge, but imagine, putting a full charge in those guns and shooting out a piece of lead or canister, you name it. It's even louder. It's got more power to it. Those even the muskets, they're putting a fraction of the amount in. So if you put a full round in, it's even louder.
Yeah. So
it's just the noise you hear now is it's tremendous. But imagine, 1862 at Antietam, full charges, and you've got 200,000 men almost in one area close to it, just shooting at each other.
So with the Battle of Atlanta, the Siege of Atlanta, you don't plan to burn anything down, do you?
No, we
just
don't.
making sure.
No, we're not going to burn.
I'm just
We're
imagining
not going to burn
Sherman
it.
marching through and burning a mile-wide path of just carnage.
If we own the grounds, I would do something awesome like that. But with us partnering with 3M and they own the facility, I don't know if I want to just build something just to burn it and then they get upset with me. 'Cause I don't want to ruin that relationship. But if we are one day in the future, if we were able to get that facility, we would do awesome stuff.
Oh my gosh!
But no, we're doing, like you said, the Siege of Atlanta. So over the 3 days, well, I should say on Saturday, Sunday. Saturday we have 2 battles. We have one at noon and one at 4. The one at noon will be the Battle of Kennesaw Mountain, and then the one at 4 o'clock is the Battle of I'm drawing a blank. I got them on. Anyways, so we'll figure that out later. I don't have my schedule with me. But Sunday is the actual Siege of Atlanta.
Okay.
So, and on our website we're going to post the schedule, so you'll have a more in depth of what portion of those battles we'll be focusing on, because we're not going to focus on the entire Battle of Kennesaw Mountain. We're going to focus on one small portion of it. Whether and then we're going to, in the next battle, we're going to focus on a small portion of that battle and who was in charge of it and what happened. And we have General Grant, General Lee. They all talk during the battle, what happened during that particular battle, how the tactics are ran. So they give you an educational talk show, basically, I guess you call it, during the battles. That way you're not just sitting there watching the guys shoot black powder at each other. You're actually learning about it and you're seeing it too.
Yeah. Nice. Man, I'm excited for you. I love your passion for it. I love that we have a youth movement going on with it, and that you're seeing an uptick in volunteers this year, and hopefully this will help some more people get involved. And like I said, they can go to the website, which is
HartfordCityCWDays.com,
or they can go to the Facebook page,
which is Hartford City Civil War Days,
or they can just reach out to
me. Yeah. One of the 3 ways. We've been doing a lot of advertising on our Facebook page, so that's probably the best way to get a hold of us right now. Or you just get on our website. You can get my phone number and my email address on there. You can get a hold of me as well.
That's fantastic. If people are like, hey, I want to do this, but I don't, here's where I want to get to earlier. This is what I want to come back to. Where do I find period gear to get involved in this?
So on our website, we have a link to a few settlers that are local. Well, I should say local. They're in this part of the country.
Yeah.
That they have the product you can buy to get into it, or they have the material you can buy to make your own uniforms or outfits, dresses, whatever fancies whatever you want to do. So we have links on our website to go to these places to buy it, or you can just even do a Google search, Civil War settlers, and it'll bring up multiple different people you can buy your product from.
And I would imagine that a lot of folks out there that are already involved are willing to help someone
very much
get something to at least get them started. You had mentioned before, I'll let you borrow some stuff. Just come out and get involved, right?
Yep.
So I think that's the cool thing about that, or not just your organization, but I think the whole experience itself is that everyone that I've encountered anyway, and you've encountered a lot more folks than I have. I'm sure there's someone out there where you're like, that guy was kind of a jerk, but for the most part, everybody just wants to have a great event, have a great time, live some history.
Yeah.
It's a living history event. It's something that is you can't get from a book. You can somewhat experience from a movie, I guess, but not the smells, not the feels, that campfire smell that's going on out there.
Yeah.
I love
campfire smell is real, by the way. I remember on student days, we have a lot of kids come out. Hey, is that fire real?
Yeah.
Is that campfire real? Yeah, guys, this is all real stuff. That always gets me going when these kids come out. Hey, did you guys actually sleep out here last night? Yeah, we did.
It's a real living event.
This is legit, guys. Student days, those kids always, I don't know if they're being sarcastic or they're being serious, but
if they were
every year,
junior high kids, it was a mix of both.
Every year we get those reenactors get those kind of questions. It just makes me laugh.
I remember some kid asked, are those his real feet? That's why I can't stop thinking about the ox guy. But yeah, I mean, they enjoy, the number of kids that came away from the events we went to that were like, I think I want to do that, was just incredible. And what happens is you walk away from that and then you get involved in your whole life and you realize, maybe next year.
Yeah.
You know, how many maybe next years have you heard?
If you want to do it, just get into it.
Just do it.
Just do it, because you'll forget about it. You'll get busy.
And no, you'll never have an experience like your first experience. So go ahead and get it done, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and experience that and be done with it. And you don't have to come out and spend the whole week.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay the night, I don't think.
No, you don't have to.
Just if you're local here, it's like, hey, I want to go out and, you know, be a part of it for the day. I'm sure there is a place for you. If you want to be a part of it just for an evening. Are you guys doing the dance?
Yeah. Right after the night firing.
Yeah. Just go out and be a part of it. Just go out
Yeah,
and hang out.
Public's welcome to join the ball.
Man, that's so cool. You got period music going on, live music.
Yeah.
You've got period dancing that's happening. And where else are you going to get that? Except maybe
not
going to
anywhere.
your parents' reunion.
Not, not anywhere around here.
No, you're not. It's absolutely not. And it's a special event. And like you said, at one point, the largest in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to get back to that point in the next 10, 15 years.
And I think the potential is there.
Very much.
I'm excited for you. And unfortunately, the War of 1812 is down this year.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that will join in with you guys. Were you guys in a competing time period?
No. We just always had it on the same weekend.
That's
with
what I
each
mean.
other. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was the same weekend.
Always the same weekend, or theirs was before, ours was after, vice versa. You name it.
it was
always
really
within-
close
yeah,
together.
exact same time.
Hmm.
So we were spending a lot more money on advertising in Grant County this year, because obviously people in Grant County are going to go support Grant County events, not Blackford County
Yeah,
events.
sure.
So
Yeah.
we're spending a lot more advertising on Grant County this year to try to pull those people to us.
Yeah.
So that should help us with our funding for next year to get bigger and better things and different things to come out to the event too.
And you did mention that you've reached out to them. They're partnering with you in some way.
They've helped us out a little bit, yeah.
Good.
Because they don't plan on stopping their event. They're gonna find ground somewhere and start their event back up. So they don't want to give
Good.
everything away, obviously.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
want to
yeah.
keep their event special, like we want to keep ours special, but
Is there a way to pair the two? I know that the time period isn't the same. It's very different scenarios.
I don't think there is a way to pair it.
I didn't know.
We want to stay 1860, they want to stay 1812. They don't
Yeah.
want to change it. I don't want to change it either. So
Is there, just thinking out loud, and that's what I do. It's my podcast. I get to think out loud sometimes. Is there a way for them to somehow partner with 3M as well? Just in a different, one spring, one fall or something?
I haven't reached out to them about that. I mean, it's a good idea.
And I'm not trying to I'm not trying to create something here, but I'm just thinking it's a good event. They
Yeah.
put on a great event. They have some great reenactors, and boy, what a great way to promote one another and work together. Just find common ground. Huh?
Yeah.
If I had the drum up here. Just thinking anyway. But I don't want to get too involved in that, but just something to think about. There's got to be a way to do it, and then you guys get to utilize your resources to grow both. That would be really cool. But man, I'm excited for you, and I know you're super excited, and you have been for quite a while, and sounds like you got a good group working with.
Yeah, and we've also partnered with the Rendezvous out here in Montpelier,
great.
Brian
Yeah.
Max and all them.
Yeah.
So I go out there and help them out, and they come out and help us out too. So I help, I don't go out there a whole lot, but I do go out there and help Brian out every now and then.
Yeah.
And a couple of our guys that are part of that Rendezvous as well. So, I mean, I want to give those guys a shout out. They do a good job for us, and we're going to help each other out, just because it's two Blackford County events.
Absolutely.
They're growing, and they're doing a really good job over there.
And yeah,
so,
they're only a few years old.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I like their event. They did a good job over there. So
good. And it looked like they had really good participation.
yeah, I think they're going to have really good participation this year since 1812's down. I've been talking to Brian, and he sounded like he's got a lot of great interest in his event now, just because he's very lucky to be able to use that ground over there as well.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm excited. I can't wait to see how this thing fleshes out. And man, I'm gonna have to look at my schedule, see how I can get involved.
Yeah.
My fall isn't near as crazy as it has been in the past with teaching and principling and stuff like that. So,
Well, check us out on Facebook.
yeah, you might see me out there. Maybe I'll be the maybe I'll be one of the reenactors. Who knows?
All right.
I'll just come out and sleep in a tent. You know,
I got one you can borrow.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you got it all, brother. Well, I'm not going to wear your pants because they're going to be a little short on me. We might have a height difference, but good stuff, dude. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Anything else you want to share? Did I miss anything?
Just tell your friends and family, come on out to the event. Make it a great year for us this year.
Gosh, and if you haven't been out to a night firing, at minimum, just go out and check that out. Just seeing the explosion coming out of the end of that cannon.
Come out, buy food, sit there, watch it, dance in the ball for a bit, and go home.
God, make it a date night.
Yeah, again, just support a great organization and ensure the continuance of the Civil War days.
I can't help myself, but I promise, make it a date night, and I promise you'll have a blast.
No pun intended.
Man, I can't get this guy to... There it is. I finally got him to laugh out loud. But you'll have a ball and a blast all in the same night. Oh, brother. It's one of those days for me.
Yep.
Days. So what are you doing now? You're working for O'Reilly now? And I don't want to miss any of that part either.
Yeah, I've worked for O'Reilly Auto Parts for 11 years now.
Nice.
So I'm here.
It's been 11 years?
It's been 11 years. Time flies when you have fun.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been with them for 11 years, and I'm the district manager in East Central Indiana here, so I'm pretty local.
Dang it, man.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here racking my brain going, how long ago was the last time we really sat down and talked?
It's probably been 4 or 5 years.
It's been longer than that.
Yeah.
I mean, I moved away for 3, and here we are 5 years past that. And it was probably...
The last time we talked was probably when I went to your classroom and talk about the reenactment and when I was dressed as a Union soldier.
That had to have been in spring of 18, maybe?
Yeah, before COVID and everything.
Dude, that's been way too long. So now you're with O'Reilly 11 years, and you're the district
manager in East Central Indiana. Nice.
Well, I'm glad you're staying involved in history, and from one history lover to another, and this is a great way to have that release. So
yeah,
good stuff, brother. Well, I'm gonna let you get back to work.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me come out.
Yeah, thank you. And just a reminder, check out the Civil War Days at
HartfordCityCWDays.com
or on Facebook
at Hartford City Civil War Days.
Or just reach out to Sean. And if you don't know how to get a hold of him, creep him on Facebook. He has the scene way of spelling Sean.
Proper way.
Is that the proper way?
Proper way.
Okay. All right. So you can check him out there. Go out to O'Reilly and just say, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of Sean. Leave him a message with your name and phone number, and that you're wanting to get a hold of him about Civil War Days. Ladies, he's married, so leave him be on that. And but yeah, check him out and check out that event. Make sure you get out there. It's a great event. It's a great way to promote your community, to get involved. Make sure you get with them. And I'm excited. I'm excited for Civil War Days. I can't wait to get back out there, and just not have 100 kids
that you have to chaperone.
That I have to chaperone, and that I'm in charge of, and that I got to make sure they're not doing something dumb. The problem is, still when I go to those events, I see kids walking around, and I'm like,
your instinct kicks in.
I caught myself giving a kid I gave him the eye yesterday. I was at a school, and we're talking to the teacher and the principal, and there's a kid across the room. It was my boss that was talking to him, and I'm just kind of watching, and I catch myself supervising the room, and some boy and 2 boys were over on the other side of the room about to do something dumb, and I gave them the look, and they kind of looked at me like, ooh, nope, we're busted. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't stop. I can't quit giving the kid the don't do that. Don't be dumb. Look. So I know when I go out, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's terrible at concerts. I go to a concert and I'm looking around at everybody like,
not enjoying the concert. You're just looking for people to yell at.
Put that down. You shouldn't be doing that. All right, buddy. Well, thank you. We're going to get out of here. Thanks everybody for listening in. We appreciate you. Check out the Civil War Days. Good stuff, man.